Hello and welcome to Digital Women's Awards and Summit. I am Deepshikha, your moderator for this panel. We are here to talk about COVID impact. On 24th March 2020, when the first 21-day lockdown was announced, little did we know how the rest of the year is going to look for us. Now, 8 months down the lane, Collins Dictionary has actually called lockdown the word of the year. It is human to adapt, and we have accepted the new normal. Today, with us are four women entrepreneurs: Dimple Jangda, founder of Prana Healthcare Center; Devika Madnani, co founder Artisanal Home Kitchen; Anjali Kanodia, founder New Leaf; and Gracy will be soon joined. Gracy Alag, a founder of MASKETIERS, will be soon joining us for this discussion. Two of them, Dimple and Anjali, have majorly transformed their businesses from offline to online during this pandemic period, and two of them had only started up in during the pandemic. So we continue on our discussion about how COVID has impacted our lives, businesses, and how they all four of them have used this as an opportunity. So I'll start with you, Devika. Like they say that when we are thrown into water, we learn how to swim. You started Artisanal Home Kitchen. Before that, you were an event manager.
Yes.
You were into event management. So tell us how COVID impacted your job and how you decided to take this leap of faith and thought of turning your passion for baking into a profession.
Okay, so to be honest, I've been baking for the last 12 years, and it gives me immense joy to bake for my family, my friends, and people that really enjoy the cakes and goodies that I bake. But being in event management, I was a conceptualizer. I still actually have my job and continue to work with the same company and firm, but in a smaller capacity, of course. But during the lockdown, of course, event management was one of those businesses that was like, or industries for that matter, that were really like the worst hit, in the sense that obviously there was like a lull in the whole business. So of course, the capacity of my job also reduced with time, and I had all this extra time on my hand for which I was just cooking at home, I was baking at home, I was trying new things. And my partner, my co-founder and brother came up to me one day and he was like, I think you should really just turn this passion of yours into your profession and start a home bakery. And then that's how Artisanal Home Kitchen began. But then again, we were in the middle of the lockdown, of course, and things were just like starting to open up, and I think non-essential services were still not open yet. Only like essential services were open. So it was a little difficult initially, sourcing in larger quantities in terms of ingredients, equipment, so on and so forth. And in fact, we're still a home kitchen, and we operate out of our home kitchen and dining room. So yeah, I mean, of course, it's like, one day you just completely change what you're doing, for a living, and then it's just like you learn how to swim as you do it. And definitely it's also the support of my family, who's been like really supporting to me in terms of helping me with everything, whether it's organization, whether it's time management, whether it's supplying, whether it's the finances. I'm really like definitely it's all their help and everything, for sure.
So I'll go to Dimple now. So when COVID rocked our world, you were in one of the more COVID vulnerable professions, should I say. You founded Prana in 2017 and working in a healthcare sector. Tell us a bit about this offline to online transition. Hey. So I think we have lost Dimple. So I will go to Anjali. We will welcome Gracie here. Gracie is the founder
Hi.
of the MASKETIERS. And I will take the similar, I mean, Anjali, you also had a similar experience of
Correct.
taking your business from offline to online during this pandemic. You started in 2016 with a majorly offline model of a store,
Correct.
and when you were thinking of making it big, COVID hit our world, rocked our worlds, and you also went through this transition. So tell us a bit
Correct.
about this
So
offline to online journey.
to give you a little background, I've always been into offline events for the past 3.5 years until COVID happened. And since past 1 year, I have a kiosk store at Inorbit Mall, Malad. So what happened after COVID is I lost all focus of the offline event. Obviously, hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, all right. So sorry. So finally, I was since a very long time I was trying to shift my focus from offline to online, but I never really could, pay attention to the online market because I was so packed up with back-to-back events and handling the store. So once the pandemic uh, outbursted, I finally got the time to, put in um, time in the online thing. And for the for the first month, I did a lot of survey. I did a lot of research work. I surveyed a lot. I did a few online courses which would help build up my online market. And I also launched my website during the pandemic, and I shifted my whole focus from offline to online. And that was a major change which I brought in about 1.5 to 2 months. Like from merely 3.5K followers in Instagram, I jumped up to 10.2K followers, which was a really drastic change. And I launched about 3 to 4 collections in the span of the pandemic, which was a really boon for me. Also, at the same time, I've been like pre-COVID, the major revenue sales was 80% offline and 20% online, whereas during the COVID, it became vice versa. So there has been a drastic change from my business model from offline, like 100% offline to online. And now, after the malls have reopened, I now have a hold of both offline as well as the online market. So in a way, the lockdown obviously has adversely affected the business majorly, but in the long run, it will help me build my online market further.
Dimple. Yeah, I will take the same question to you. You founded Prana in 2017, and you're working in the healthcare sector. We can say a COVID vulnerable profession, rather. Uh, you also had a story of taking your entire business model from offline to online. Can you share your story with us, with our viewers?
So right now I'm sitting at Prana Healthcare Center, which is a clinic, and I got back after 7.5 months. It took 7.5 months of self-imposed quarantine, COVID quarantine, for me to gather the courage to come back to Mumbai city. But what has happened in the 7.5 months is everything transformed. We had a healthcare center that we started in 2017 November, which was awarded India's most trusted healthcare center. And we do panchakarma treatment, gut health, and colon cleanse, which is a high intensity treatment and a high contact treatment. Obviously, there are almost like 500 touch points between the therapist and the patient. And you cannot minimize contact points. So the first thing that happened when India went into lockdown is we shut down the clinic and we started doing all the consultations online on video, which usually doesn't happen in the healthcare sector. It is always done face to face. But now this became like an accepted medium. So March 24th, India went into lockdown. The first thing we did on March 26th, within 2 days, was launch Prana Academy for Ayurvedic Life Sciences, which is an online academy for Ayurvedic studies. We said, if we cannot cure the patients with treatments, at least let's educate them on how not to get sick by eating the right food based on their prakriti, based on their body type, their doshas, and learn how to boost their immunity against COVID-19, against all kinds of bacteria and virus, how to protect the pregnancy during COVID-19. So we started conducting 5-day masterclasses. It became a huge hit, and we ended up having students from 40 countries who joined us during the pandemic and started studying Ayurveda from us. And Jain deemed to be university recognized our efforts, and now we've collaborated with Jain University, who certifies all our courses. And besides that, we launched 3 online festivals. One was Prakshay, the world's first online Ayurvedic festival, which was 18-hour webinar marathon with 8 international speakers around the world, 6,800 viewers. Juhi Chawla, Gaur Gopal Das ji inaugurated it. Then we had Jashna, the Freedom Festival. Then we had the world's first multilingual Ayurvedic festival in 6 languages with participants from around the world. And that was a big hit too. And consultations have moved online. So what has happened is, earlier we had patients from the Mumbai region or those who were arriving in Mumbai booking an appointment with us. Now we have patients from 49 countries because they can just book a video consultation with us and we courier the medicines to them. We can still monitor their health even after being from two different time zones and being like thousands of miles apart. We also launched our skincare and haircare products because there was a huge demand from our existing clients saying, if you launch anything, we'll be happy to take it up because you're a clinic, you have an R&D center, it's more reliable. We launched the products, and now we're doing our third supply. Like, literally in 20 days, we got sold out 3 times. So we had to reorder all our supplies and, so, replenishments. And it's pretty interesting. The feedback that we've had from the clients, it's very positive, I would say.
And now, at the onset of the COVID pandemic, we were wondering how it is going to be, but it seems like we have all made peace with the current status and, working forward. So, hi, welcome, Gracie. Gracie is the founder of the Musketeers. So, Gracie, my question to you is, what prompted you to start the Musketeers? And from idea to inception, will you tell us how you went about it?
Sure. Hi. Hello, everyone. So basically, I was like how lockdown has been extremely boring for everyone. So I have been just like being at home and post marriage, I've just been like a lazy one back at home. But just like out of boredom, I thought let's just get into something. And since so many businesses and all got affected during this entire pandemic, and so many businesses have got shut down, it just kind of struck me that what kind of could pick up right now. And that's when I thought, okay, let's just try doing masks, maybe, because for in the start, I think everyone thought it's just going to be like a little period, like a couple of months, but then nobody thought it's going to be going on for so many months and maybe a year more or something like that. So then I planned something that could last longer, and then eventually coming up with something going with it, like getting into accessories like mask chains to add on with. And yeah, that's how it started. So I think now everyone, it's like everyone wants a matching mask with their outfit. So it's become like a 2020 fashion accessory at the moment.
So, I'll come to Devika. Devika, you started AHK with your brother, and your family has, as you said, has been a great support in it. So, somewhere we've all been talking about this pandemic, how we are locked up with the family, and initially how those are the few faces only that we are seeing. But you took the relationship to a professional level. Tell us a bit about it. How easy or how difficult is it to work with your own family?
Okay, so well, I mean, firstly, for many people, it was like a great bonding opportunity for their families. People bonded over board games and things like that. We bonded over this business. It's great for us. Everything from the menu development to product development. Getting the supplies together. All of it. We actually, we brainstorm together at times, and we help each other out in many different ways. So actually, it's great working with my family and with my brother, for that matter. I think the understanding is definitely much better because we know each other so well, and also because we openly accept criticism from each other, which you would probably have inhibitions accepting it from somebody else, like a third person. But it's so much easier to accept that criticism from your family, and it's sometimes it does, it's like debates and things like that, and you do have different points of view. But I mean, of course, your bonding helps you come to a consensus. So I think it's wonderful working with family, and I'm so glad that COVID presented us with this opportunity, actually.
So, Anjali, you had to redefine your relationship with your sales staff, and you had to train them in textile work. Tell us a bit about this journey.
So post lockdown, we were all sitting idle. That like the sales team, we took a month's break, and we really didn't know what to do about it. So I finally thought that let's develop a collection wherein I could involve my sales team and get the work done and launch a totally new collection about new products. So what I did is I spoke to them and I had a word with them, and they were really ready to do this. So I designed a collection which was specially for Raksha Bandhan, which involved rakis, customized rakis, and different kinds of charms for women. So I spoke to them and they were ready to do this. And I trained them to make textile art and jewelry over video calls and WhatsApp calls. And I used to ship them materials, raw materials, and they did not step back to learn these little forms of fashion art and textiles. So it was difficult in the beginning, but later on they did a brilliant job, and the whole collection was made by them sitting at home only, and the only source of contact was through WhatsApp and video calls. And this is how they learned to make the whole textile jewelry. Like, those two females, they didn't even know how to stitch properly, and the lockdown actually made them learn to make and create the whole product. So this was a little challenging, but in the end, we were really happy as to how the outcome was, because this was my first lockdown collection, and the whole credit goes to both of them. And being sales team, I wouldn't have expected that to happen otherwise. So, and it really became a hit once I launched it. So I really thank them that they did not give up, and they really supported me in this. And we were ready to, launch and make this collection a great hit.
Wow, that's an interesting story. So, Gracie, your business is all through Instagram. So, how,
Correct.
how would you say? I mean, how small businesses can use social media platforms? What would you say from your experience?
See, honestly, for me, it was since, like I mentioned, that I started during the lockdown, which was July, and when things started to open up a little bit, it was still not opened up. But yeah, initially I managed online. Somehow I managed to get all my workers and carriers who really were in need of work at the moment, and they all were like, "Hey, everything is shut and they're all jobless." And somehow I managed to gather one or two people. Yes, for me also to get out of the house was a challenge. Being family at home, they all were like kind of paranoid. But then I did get once or twice I got out of the house, and then everything was on video call, and they kind of understood what I needed. And then they even if we were like local, but then things I had to like deliver it and call from it back home from them. So basically there was no direct contact because obviously being COVID around and masks again. So it was like so difficult for me to like I had not even planned this whole thing. It just kind of when I connected the dots, it just kind of went with the flow. It was just like me who managed the entire marketing from advertisement to all the packaging and everything. And then I had this girl at home who I kind of took as a help, and then I said, chalo, let me just see where it goes. And then for me it was just Instagram, and touch wood, I've got like an amazing response. And now I have about like 1,200 followers in about two months, and word of mouth has been amazing. And I think I've got like repeat orders, and that's what is going. And now that I've launched accessories also, it's been going very well because like that's a new trending thing now. So yeah, that's how it's going.
So, Dimple, you also launched an entire range of products online, right? So, I have two questions for you about using online medium. One is, did you face any kind of discrimination taking this entire business online when you're in terms of selling your products? And the second part is, you also involved into used many virtual meeting platforms for your sessions and all. So as far as digital medium is concerned, how would you say these influenced your work?
If anything that has happened during the lockdown is the digital platform exploded. Everything has gone digital. Who would have imagined that schools and colleges will become digital and the campuses will become ghost campuses? We never thought, right? Never in our wildest dreams did we imagine that kids will stop going to school and they'll have to study from home, and the mothers will have to become the second teachers. If anything, the digital platform has exploded and it has actually shrunk the world, made the world a flatter place. and a smaller village, and everyone's connected to everyone across borders, across time zones, without discrimination. That's the beauty about it. Unlike the many generations before us, the many generations of women who faced discrimination before us when they were trying to get into a male dominant business, like for example, I was an investment banker before I got into healthcare sector, and I was fighting tooth and nail to be in the boardrooms in New York and Chicago, to head transactions on growth sector and windmill sector and stuff like that, right? So there was a lot of testosterone battle. It was always a battle between men, and women were mostly sidelined. It was pretty normal. It was pretty normal for you to have that kind of a discrimination in a very subtle manner. But what happens with digital media is it doesn't question you on what your gender is. When you are doing any kind of a business on a digital platform, you're selling across the world to many countries, to many people of many races, nationality, ethnicity, caste, community, religion. Digital platform doesn't ask what is your community, what is your caste, what is your rationality, what's your race, what's your ethnicity, what's your gender. It doesn't ask. There's no discrimination when it comes to taking your business online, number one, and number two, to expanding and growing. There's no limit on how much you can grow. Like you can dramatically grow. And if you look at the statistics in all these business magazines, you'll find businesses like Amazon and Flipkart did really well. It's the online businesses that exploded. And if anything, this is a great time for women who've always wanted to do a business but didn't know how, didn't want to get into, this infrastructure cost or having to go through rental pains, renting out a place and having employees and fixed costs and recurring costs. Now is a great time for them to remove the rental costs out of the balance sheet and have a lighter platform. You then have just the online rental cost and you can function from your home. You could be wearing a face mask, you could be having oil in your hair, you could be like, changing the diapers and nappies of your children, you could be feeding your young kids, you could be a mess, doesn't matter. Digital world doesn't care what you look like, doesn't care what your gender is. It just allows the most efficient to survive and to make a real business. That's the beauty of digital world. And this is interesting. Like, we're talking about COVID impact on women entrepreneurs. I think this pandemic has given rise to a lot of women entrepreneurs more than ever before. Women have discovered little talents, that they didn't know they had. Like maybe they're really good at baking or really good at teaching or really good at embroidery or really good at, designing clothes, anything, or good at giving skincare advice or making skincare packs at home. Businesses have exploded, especially the cottage industry, especially the single woman-led businesses. That has exploded. And that has been, I think, the silver lining of this storm.
So, cheers to all of us as women. And on that note, I would like to ask Anjali about the Rangeen Dhaga. I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me? Yeah, so just like I mentioned before, Rangeen Dhaga is the collection which is a proper 100% lockdown collection, which was created by me and the two stores sales staff only. And the materials we used materials that were all available at home because that time none of the markets were open. So luckily, just before the lockdown, I had bought tons of fabrics at home, which helped me create that collection during the lockdown when nothing was open. So that is all about Rangeen Dhaga. That was my first lockdown collection, which I launched solely online, which did wonders. Like I had literally no clue that an online launch could be such amazing and could have such an amazing response because I've always been into offline events, meeting people one on one, going to the store, meeting customers, and having one to one conversations and launching offline collections. But this time, Rangeen Dhaga did really well, and that was like a festive collection. And everybody was so amazed that an online collection could do so well on Instagram and on the website. So that was like a drastic change when I realized that digital world could go much further beyond my imagination, and I could connect to international customers as well. So this whole Rangeen Dhaga coming into picture and the COVID coming into picture, I could connect to many international clients and I could just widen my base. So Rangeen Dhaga was just the beginning, like it was just the first launch of the during the pandemic, and which gave me confidence to launch more and more products. So I shifted my focus from just a bags brand to accessories for men and women, and followed by home decor products as well. So basically, my from a bags brand, I've New Leaf has turned into a lifestyle brand, and my whole kiosk at an orbit doesn't just have bags. It now has home decor products. It has accessories for men and as well as women. So that has become a whole transition from one phase to another.
uh, Devika, in so going forward, how would you? I mean, in this lockdown, another important thing that we have all talked about is healthy eating habits. So, going forward, how do you think you can? Do you think you will imbibe this in your range of products, or how? Or yeah.
Well, Well, to be honest, we already do have some healthy products on our menu already. Of course, I think there are lots of new trends in terms of dietary trends, such as the vegan diet, the paleo diet, and keto diet, and so on and so forth. Of course, we always want to cater to how many ever people that we can. And when people come up to us with requests, just make this egg free, or can you make this sugar free, or can you make this gluten free, then we try and accommodate as much as possible, and we actually do customize to that level for them. And the aim is just to be flexible enough to accommodate our clients' requirements at all times. Of course, the one thing that is actually a real benefit of the lockdown and of COVID is that a lot of people have actually started consciously thinking about what they eat. So they would plan their days, such as I want to eat, I want to have my cheat day on this day, and that's the only time that I'll have sugar. Or if I want to have something sweet or something like that, then I will have it with jaggery or coconut sugar for that matter. So it helps us understand their requirements, and they come to us at least 24 hours prior, which is great because we get to freshly bake for them, which is another very, very healthy thing. Our food is completely gelatin free, preservative free. Any artificial ingredients are not used. Everything is natural and organic. And that presents us a great opportunity to give like the most amazing products to our clients. And it's, I think, one of the reasons why we've gained such traction in such little time. And it's wonderful. So I mean, going into the future, I want to continue this trend to be able to be flexible and customizable for our clients and cater to their dietary requirements and accommodate them as best as I can.
Thank you. So I'll quickly go to Gracie as to what is next for Masketeers from here.
So basically, the plan when I thought about masks was obviously not a permanent thing. It's like a short-term thing till we get the vaccine and everything, which is why I now have switched towards accessories as well. I've launched mask chains, which could also be used as neck pieces or neck chains. Coming and then eventually, when masks completely maybe kind of start getting faded, is when we get more and more into neck pieces and earrings and bracelets. And to add on with, I've already launched hair bands. So yeah, so basically it would be heading towards accessories for sure. But let's see how it how till how long this pandemic takes us forward. I don't know how it's going to go on for. But then yes, accessories are the main thing that I'm looking further to.
Right. And I'll come to Anjali and Dimple and get quick comments on going back to physical office spaces. I mean, store spaces, office spaces, or centers. So, Anjali, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, so the malls reopened in August, and hello, you know me, right? Yeah. So the malls reopened in August, and I was very paranoid and skeptical that how is it going to be? How can I call my staff each and every day and work and meet people, meet the clients, and open the store each and every day? So I was personally very skeptical, and I didn't know how to go about it. But with passing time, like after 15-20 days, I just convinced myself that okay, we do not have an option, we have to stick to this, and we'll keep all the safety precautions, and we'll go forward. So giving you a little background, I have this kiosk at an orbit because I won a competition at an orbit malls, with an initiative which was called as the Pink Power Initiative, wherein I won the competition and I got a free rental space for 9 months. And that 9 months got over just pre-COVID, like in March. So once the malls reopened, that is in August, I had to start paying the rents. And hence I was so skeptical that what should I do at this point of time? Everybody around was telling me that I don't think you should, go forward and pay the rent and continue the kiosk. But I wasn't willing to give up this space. So I had an agreement for 3 months, that is August, September, and October. And later on, I get to decide that whether or not I have to continue or not. So luckily, I took a leap of faith and I just said to myself, let's go with the flow and I'll compensate with my online sales and make this happen, because I was really not willing to give up on the kiosk and the small space of the kiosk. So August has been really, there was a huge downfall. Like I could only generate 20% of the total sales which I used to get pre-COVID, but slowly and slowly it started picking up. Like September was little better, October was little better, and November, like pre-Diwali, it has been much better. So right now in November, I decided that let's just continue with the kiosk and I will keep paying the rent, and we signed up the agreement till March. So right now it's like I am focusing both on offline as well as online. Pre-COVID, I was just focusing on offline. Right now I have a hold, I have a catch on both online and offline. I can just moderate them whenever possible. So yeah.
Dimple will open the questions. Your comments on the same question.
All right. If you could just repeat the question, like you wanted to hear about the offline.
Going back to physical office spaces, store spaces, or whatever. What is your experience been?
So
And,
this
how
is.
do you assess?
I'm actually speaking from my clinic today, and I came back, like I said, after 7.5 months to the clinic. Luckily for us, we went with the flow. Like I said, we shifted the business from offline to online during the lockdown from March 26th. We continued till about July, till it was safe for us to open the clinic. And then we realized, there were a lot of patients in Mumbai city that were willing to come to the clinic and do treatments because they knew we had like a lot of safety protocols. And so it's a high contact treatment process. And especially because during the COVID, what has happened, someone was also asking, how did you handle stress? A lot of people were going through a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and even some people had triggered clinical depression. Some of our celebrity clients, our business clients, our regular clients, they were all suffering with a little bit of anxiety and stress because of the uncertainty of the future. And we said, okay, let's open the computer. By July last week, and we had a lot of precautions in place. Like, our therapists have to wear like a complete COVID safety mechanism and gear. They would have like a complete outfit from head to toe, cover their hair, cover their mask, their face with a mask, and they would have a gown that would go all the way from the neck to the feet, everything would be covered. So they had like very minimum contact with the clients, and patients started coming in. It's definitely changed. Like I said, the revenues would have dipped dramatically for anyone who has an offline presence. But luckily for us, our online presence is still taking care of our clinic in a lot of ways. We continue like doing consultations online for our patients around the world. We continue teaching Ayurveda to students around the world. Now we have a skincare haircare product, so anyone who wants to come to the clinic and buy the products can also do that, while we continue shipping it around the world. Offline is going to be a game changer. If anything, the real estate market has really crashed around the country, around the world, I would say. A lot of people have packed their bags and left Mumbai city for havens like Goa, where it's greener, the rentals are lesser, they're able to still operate the businesses, and especially for creative people and talent who can operate from any part of the world, they've all moved, right? So what has happened? Even landlords across the city and India know that they cannot play the hardball anymore. They have to be willing to compromise. This is a great time for women and men who have offline businesses to renegotiate your rental contracts with your landlords, because everyone's in a state of empathy right now. They understand what you're doing. They can extend that compassion to you. Use this opportunity to build your relationship, sweeten your relationship with your landlords, continue your offline presence, but maybe start, consolidating it. You don't have to spread your offline presence too much. Online is the future. Unless it's a service business like a restaurant or a hotel, which requires accommodation, or a treatment center like us, where offline presence is must, then you hold on to the space you have. But otherwise, continue expanding your online space and consolidate your offline space, minimize your rental expenditures, your fixed costs on your balance sheet so that it's easier for you to survive. You can't be in a continuous state of stress. And the best part that I've noticed, even though the pandemic happened in March, from March to November, we've still hit our targets with our sales. Whatever sales we generated pre-pandemic, we're still hitting the same sales. If not more, at least the same or maybe a little less. So that's where innovation plays a role. You have to keep innovating. And as an entrepreneur, your job is to solve problems. Your job is not to sit and whine and complain that this has gone wrong in my life, that has gone wrong in my city, or the government is not functioning. You cannot shift blame on anyone, be it government, be it people, be it parents, be it friends, family, relatives, clients. Your job is to solve a problem, and that's what makes a true entrepreneur. So I'm glad, we're sharing this platform with other accomplished women like yourselves, and we're able to exchange these beautiful ideas for the benefit of those who are listening.
Absolutely. So, thank you, all of you, for joining us. Thank you, Devika, Anjali, Dimple, and Gracie for being part of this panel.
Thank you so much.
And I wish
It
all of
was
you
an honor to
luck
be a part.
with your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
It was lovely hearing everybody's experience.
Same here. It was an honor to be a part of this discussion. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
I think I was 13 when I started my first venture.
हमेशा पता था कि कुछ अपने आप करना है और अपने बलबूते पे खड़ा होना है.
1400 viewers, you're actually making a social impact in a huge way.
Every second day feels like something's going to break, and that's just a part of being an entrepreneur. But I think the one thing that I've learned is you have to persist.
My brand talks about clothes which are 2-in-1.
I said, no, I'm manager, I'm owner, I'm everything. And they just looked at me and said, you, aapke husband off ho gaye?
The Indian economy is going through some sort of a slowdown. What's going to change it? I said the minute you start looking at how women are a huge market and how they're driving that market, that's possibly where you'll find some answers.
Through programs like SheThePeople, there are women's accelerators that are starting to be put into place, and there's more role models that exist.
And I think peer level connection becomes extremely important.